Good evening and welcome to yet another episode of South African of the Year Daily Show here on ANN7 Channel 405, the show where we get to interview extraordinary and inspiring South Africans doing incredible things across the country. My name is Maps Maponyani, and of course we're doing it through the lens of reflection and progression. Today we are interviewing a lovely lady who has an interest in chemistry. She's only 16 years old and she's already been named the overall winner for the 2016 Google Science Fair for her project entitled Combating Drought with a Low-Cost Biodegradable Super Absorbent Polymer Made Out of Orange Peels and Avocado Skins. I know, it's a real mouthful. She's definitely a force to be reckoned with, and her name is Kiara Nirghin. Kiara, thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Kiara, where did your interest for science start?
Well, from a very young age, I've always had like a natural curiosity. So from that age, I've always started being interested in science and questioning things around me. So it was really a long-lasting love of science from I was young.
Was it always science, or were there other things? You know, did you? I know you're only still 16, but you know, when you were a lot younger, did you want to be a policewoman and an astronaut, perhaps even a sportswoman of sorts?
Science has always been one of my passions, but I also love being in the kitchen. It's also something that I love doing, but mainly science was one of my passions.
Well, of course, you asked it at school, and we got to spend a little bit of time with you to see what a typical school day is like for you. So let's take a look.
Okay. I go to St. Martin's School, Johannesburg. I would consider myself very diligent, a hard worker. I'm very motivated. I love to get up and go. I live by the saying, if your dreams don't work unless you do. That's basically what I live by. When I saw about the Google Science Fair and all the other things that I achieved, I look at it and I know that this is what I want to achieve, this is how I'm going to achieve it. So I do put my standards very high, and a lot of the times when I do surprise myself to an extent, but I definitely do have a plan. I don't just go into things and let it happen. I do have a certain level of confidence knowing that these are my dreams and what I want to achieve. Since grade 4 in St. Martin's, I've been winning the internal public speaking competition. I won it in grade 10 as well. I also won the creative writing competition in St. Martin's. I've won the form prize since grade 9 in St. Martin's. That's first in the grade. I've won 2 scholarships so far. That's all. I've done quite a lot of things in the school. I am very competitive. I think I get it from my dad. He's a bit competitive, and I think that's just the family that I've been brought up in. And I am competitive because I know that I've got the ability, well, like let's say the Google Science Fair, I know that I had the ability to create a product and create an invention that I could be proud of, and hopefully the judges of the competition would be proud of. So I do have high standards, and I think I am a bit competitive.
So we've just taken a look at your typical day at school. Of course, you still have to go to school every single day, being surrounded by your friends. What have been your friends' reactions right now?
Well, the moment I came home after winning the Google Science Fair from the airport, my school organized a bus, they had posters. I just really had a warm welcome, and the entire experience has been so wonderful, and my entire school, my family, my friends, they've really just supported me and helped me in accomplishing all of this.
Let's talk about that support, of course, coming from your parents, because that's where the interest would have come from.
Yeah.
How have they supported you, in which ways, and what do you guys get to do together that has really made you be a much better scientist and gone streaks ahead from your peers?
Well, I've always loved science, and obviously this wasn't my first idea I've ever come up with, and I feel like my mom and my dad, they were a great springboard for my ideas. So I've had a lot of ideas, and every time I'd come up with an idea, my dad would say this would work, this wouldn't work. So although I did come up with the idea, they've obviously helped me through finding the right idea to pursue. They've also helped me in being a mentor. Most of the project I did do at home, my mom would watch me, see if I'm doing everything right. So I feel without them, I wouldn't have been able to come up with such a project as I have.
What's the family dynamic now? Because I know if I was in your position, I'd be a little bit smarter around my mom and dad.
Well, I have a brother and sister, and I actually have a brother and two sisters, which are very supportive of my love of science. They're just really supporting me throughout this, and my sisters are very smart, so I still go to them, ask them for help for maths and science. So although I did win, I still ask them for help in my schoolwork as well.
Wow, phenomenal. Well, we're still going to keep chatting to you. I'd love to know a whole lot more. Well, we'd all love to know a whole lot more exactly what your project is all about and how it works. And then we'll also touch on a little bit more about the things that make you tick and where you see yourself going. We're also going to play a bit of fun and games with you. But if you want to vote for Kiara Nirghin as the Youth Leader of the Year for the South African of the Year Awards, all you need to do is SMS Youth2, that's the word youth and the number 2 to 43043, or email youth2 to SATY2016@ann7.com, or you can go to our website www.ann7.com and follow those instructions to see how you can vote in the other categories, as well as, of course, the Youth Leader category for Kiara Nirghin, and possibly get your double tickets to the South African of the Year Awards. We'll be back. We're still in the studio with Kiara Nirghin. She's been nominated in the South African of the Year Awards for the Youth Leader of the Year. Kiara, you go to St. Martin's Anglican Private School in Rosettenville, and you've made them very, very proud. And you've also managed to win yourself some great education funding with your prize, which is an amazing achievement.
Thank you.
Now, but let's talk about the actual experiment itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's entitled, and I'm going to say it because I think I've nailed it now, and I'm just going to use that to my advantage. It's entitled Combating Drought with a Low-Cost Biodegradable Super Absorbent Polymer Made of Orange Peels and Avocado Skin. So it sounds like it could be fairly straightforward, but I'm sure it's a whole lot more complex, especially when it comes to the polymer element of it all.
So basically what it is I've created a low-cost biodegradable super absorbent polymer, and it basically utilizes the polysaccharide in orange peels and the oils in an avocado skin, and through that I've created a polymer which holds and retains large amounts of water relative to its own mass. So when you apply it throughout soil, even through periods of drought, it retains water and almost, you could say, creates reservoirs of water. And even through periods of drought, the plants will have a constant supply of water. So in that way, drought isn't affecting South Africa's crop supply in such an effect that it would have if I didn't come up with it.
Was that your aha moment for you to come up with it all, that this could possibly work? Because I'm trying to think of all the other 16-year-old kids out there, and this is the last thing that they could possibly have come up with, and it landed in your mind.
The actual aha moment was when I did my first experiment and I applied it to a formula, and to see how much water in comparison to other commercial SAPs it did retain, and I saw that it retained more water. That was when I really saw that what I came up with really does retain water, and that's when I carried on with the other two experiments.
Kiara, you're really taking me back to school a whole lot further. Kiara Nirghin, an incredible young mind that has won the overall prize for the Google Science Fair this year in 2016. We got a chance to chat to her mother and her best friend, and this is what they had to say about her.
Kiara, as a child, was very disciplined, very quiet as a child, and she's grown up to be a quite young lady. When she was young, there's not much of, there's a 3-4 year age difference between her and her middle sister. So they got on well. As a child, she was very inquisitive, very why what, how, that kind of thing. And she's grown up to be like that as well.
Kiara and myself do science together. Often she's the more focused student and she often brings me back when I'm having too much fun in class. She's always there when you need help. When you're absent, she'll always get your work for you very studiously. Everything will be in order, and she's a great help, friendly and academically. She's always there.
Recently she won a public speaking competition, and it made me proud because it's an achievement, you know. Standing in front of 100 people is not an easy thing, and delivering a speech. I mean, I can't do it, and Kiara loves to do it. So she takes part in as much as she can, and she gives off her best. And it makes me proud to see her standing in front of 100 people and giving a speech.
I hope she continues with the amazing achievements. But hopefully her and I will be studying together in anywhere, because I know that we'll do better together if we go.
Kiara has been nominated for the SA Youth Leadership of the Year award. It's indeed a great honor and privilege to be nominated, and I believe she is the youngest. With everything that's happening in her life, the main thing that I would love to get out of all this is to inspire other youth. Drugs, alcohol is not the way out. You know, God has given us all a brain. Put it to good use. Find something that inspires you and go out and get it. Everybody can do it.
I think she's so driven that it's got her there. A lot of people don't know that she was really ill when she was younger in grade 8, and she persevered through that and still was one of the top achievers of the year. And throughout that time, that's when I developed all of my respect for her, because even though she was absent for half of the year, she still was able to be now top of the grade. She's not only focused on work though, she's not the type of person who's one-dimensional. She'll be there if you want to go out, she'll be there if you want to just stop doing work and have fun.
That was Kiara's school friend, Rachel May. Kiara, it must be great having a friend like that. First, I really want to commend your school on how well the two of you, or I'm sure it must possibly be most of your students, articulate yourselves. Rachel said some wonderful things about you in the most beautiful way, and especially about the type of person that you are. But let's go back to her mentioning the fact that you were in grade 8 and going through a really tough time with illness, and you managed to miss half of a year of school, and you still managed to be one of the top students in the class.
Well, in grade 8 I had meningitis, and it was during exam time, and I started getting stressed because I didn't know what I was going to do. And it just shows you how at St. Martin's everybody helped me along, gave me work, and in that I was able to finish the year, go on to the next year, and continue to soar in the school. So really it's just a family at the school, and everybody supports everybody there.
How much time goes into actually trying to make sure that you keep up with that work while you are on that hospital bed or at home and being nurtured by your parents, and how do you actually feel when you feel like you're missing out on school and all your friends?
Well, it wasn't that difficult because all my peers pitched in, they helped me along, gave me their books, and so it wasn't that difficult thinking about it now. I caught up quite quickly and it wasn't that difficult.
Rachel speaks about the fact that you still like to be as normal as possible. Tell us about those normal things that really make you happy, that you keep trying to do as much as possible with her and with your other friends, so that you don't get too academic or just all about the academics.
Well, at school we have sport, which is compulsory, and I do squash and netball. So every day after school, most of the days, you have to do sport, and I also am very involved in cultural activities in school, public speaking, I state fits. So it's really not just academics, but our school looks at all the different spheres in a schooling life.
Of course, teachers also play a very important role in nurturing us to be the best in what we can be in whatever subject it is we enjoy, and they encourage that interest. And I'm sure they've done that for Kiara as well. We managed to speak to her teachers, and it's great considering it was recently World Teachers Day. We got to catch up with Mrs. Naidu and Mrs. Van Heerden.
Kiara is a very reserved young lady, quiet, hardworking, diligent. You know, before you can tell her to do something, it's already been done. If she's absent for a reason, if she comes back to school and I still want to say to her, listen, Kiara, you've got to do this and that. She's already phoned a friend, already done the homework. I need to just mark it for her. No, she's just a star, hardworking, friendly, gets along with her peers, always respectful to the teachers and the staff of the school. So, you know, just a beautiful, all-rounded, well-educated, rounded person.
Kiara is a perfectionist. Her work is meticulous. She goes above and beyond, which is why I'm not surprised that she has won or is in the running for any prize. Her marks average in the 90s. I have to sometimes look to see why she should not get 100%. In my classroom, I have photos of all the great scientists, and I wish that Kiara can be one of them in the future, where she has discovered or invented something great, because she has that kind of analytical mind, she has a questioning mind, an investigative mind, which is exactly the skills needed for a scientist. I would like her to become a scientist.
I wish she would study accounting as a subject, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think with science and biology, she might be ending up in a medical field, but I'm speaking under correction. She's the type of person that's going to excel, probably come back and visit in 10 years' time, and then I'm going to feel stupid because I'm going to sit and chat to this intelligent young lady and thinking, okay, maybe this is why I'm in teaching and not out there.
And those were the words from her teachers telling us just how incredible a student Kiara Nirghin is, and how much she's achieved. Kiara, how much have your teachers helped you?
In the project, I basically did it by myself, but in my entire schooling career, a lot of the teachers helped me along. They supported me, and a school without teachers wouldn't be a school, so they did support me a lot.
Let's talk about some of those one-on-one sessions that you had with them just throughout nurturing your love for science before even the project. We saw Mrs. Naidu speaking, and as well as Mrs. Van Heerden. They both seemed really proud to have known you. It's almost a case of, I taught that girl, and she was under my wing, and I knew she was smart immediately. How much have they invested in the relationship with you to really get the best out of you?
I think in school, the teachers we have is simply amazing. If I don't get something, whether it's not anything to do with science, like accounting, the teachers would sit with you, they'd help you with the problem, explaining it in a different way. So just your schooling foundation at St. Martin's is extremely good, that I've been able to get.
Would it be fair to ask you if school is easy for you now? Because Mrs. Naidu mentioned that it would be kind of weird for me to have to see that she's not getting 100%, and I'd have to question why she didn't get 100%. That's a lot of pressure. So that sounds like a girl who seems to be coasting through school. Or have you just worked out a level of work ethic that now it just comes a whole lot easier to you than the other students? Or is it just easy for you as a whole?
I think it is a lot of my work ethic. If I don't get something, I'll make sure that I find out why. I try to do all my projects and stuff beforehand and not the night before. It's really a lot about the work ethic. I think anybody has the ability to do well in school. You just need to be hardworking and be diligent and make sure you're on top of things.
And that's that research and analytical mind coming through again that your teachers were talking about. You speak about the support from the teachers and how you always want to go and find out things. You won the 2016 Google Science Fair. Let's talk about how much Google has helped in such a technological age that we live in now. You know, a couple of generations ago, people in school, you could only go and refer to encyclopedias, the solid books. How much time do you spend researching nonstop on Google itself?
Well, actually, when I was researching something and the banner popped down about the Google Science Fair. That's how I found out about it. And when I did find out about it, I realized that all my previous research that I've ever done on my project has been on Google. Google is the one way that I'm allowed to research anything. I don't need to actually go to libraries, or there's so much information at your fingertips that really anybody can do anything with the amount of information Google gives you. That I can become a leader for other children also looking at science or looking at something that they don't think that they have the ability to do. And it's just really great that I can be a leader for some of the other young children out there.
Well, we're about to do something right now, and unfortunately you can't refer to Google for it. We have a fun section of the show, which is our trivia section, and we'd like to ask our South African of the Year nominees general knowledge questions on just how well they know South Africa. So how well do you think you know South Africa?
I think I know a little most of it, but I'm not quite sure what types of questions I am only 16, so it's not very fair.
Well, you seem like an incredibly smart 16-year-old, so I'm not going to let you get away with that excuse just yet. I've tried to, do a couple favors and make sure that the questions were within what you've studied and what your interest is. But I think you're gonna do pretty well. If you don't get 100%, no pressure. I'm going to be reporting to Mrs. Naidu. Question number 1. What is the chemical symbol for oxygen?
O2, because it's diatomic.
Look at that. She corrected the actual answer that is in the question, because the answer here is, of course, O, but it is O2. Congratulations. Question number 2. Name the doctor that performed the first open heart surgery.
Christian Barnard.
Christian Barnard. You've got that. You've got that. Question number 3. Who was an IT entrepreneur who made history by becoming the first South African in space and only the second private citizen to self-fund his journey into orbit?
Mark Shuttleworth.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the answer. Congratulations on that one. Question number 4. Okay, I'm going to try and trip you up here.
Okay.
But I think you'll know it as well. Where is the big hole found? Where is the big hole, I beg your pardon, found in South Africa?
Big hole?
Yes, the big hole. It is the same region where the Cullinan diamond was found.
Kimberley? I don't know. Is it?
I'm going to give you that. I'm going to give you that. I see that my producer might be looking at you and trying to give you a couple of clues, but you did get that one unscathed. That's 4 out of 4. And the last question, let's see if I can trip you up here. Okay. You're only 16 years old, which means you were born in 2000. So yes. How many democratically elected heads of state has South Africa had since post apartheid? Democratically elected.
3. What do you mean? Yeah, 3.
Can you name them?
Nelson Mandela, Thabo Mbeki, Jacob Zuma.
Kiara, you have no excuse not to get 100% because that's exactly what you've done. 5 out of 5. Try to trick you on that one because people sometimes say 4 because, of course, Kgalema Motlanthe came in, but he wasn't democratically elected. So 3 is the correct answer. 5 out of 5, 100%. As always, just another walk in the park for Kiara Nirghin. Here we want to really focus on where you see yourself in the future. So where do you see yourself?
I don't quite know what I want to study, but it's definitely something in science or maths field. And with the scholarship funding that I've gotten from Google, I really can choose anything that I want to. It's just a decision of mine to see what I actually want to do. but it's definitely looking at science and trying to use my knowledge to make the world better.
I know you're only 16 years old, but of course, over the next couple of years, you really need to think about where you're going to study. You've managed to get some really good backing for your education. Any hints as to where you'd like to take your education?
Hopefully overseas, university maybe in the US. That's something that I would look at in the future. Yeah, and in terms of what I want to, I'm still unsure of that, but it's definitely something in science.
Any other exciting science projects that you're thinking up next to try and make the world a better place?
Well, before I did come up with this, I also came up with an idea. My dad didn't quite agree with it, so it didn't go through the pipelines, but it was a thermochromic dye to stop animal poaching. So it was basically, if you apply it to animals' fur, and when the animal loses body temperature after they've been shot, it basically stains the skin. So it would decrease the number of poachers that do kill animals because the skin wouldn't be usable. But obviously I wasn't able to test it and come up with it because of all the things that I'd have to use on like animal fur. So it's definitely something that I would like to pursue after.
And of course, poaching is a very big problem that we're having right now in South Africa and all across Africa, in fact, especially with our dwindling numbers of incredible species that we have right now. You've been nominated, of course, as the Youth Leader of the Year for the South African of the Year Awards. How did that make you feel, and what does this mean to you?
Being nominated for a South African of the Year award basically means that I can become a leader for other children also looking at science or looking at something that they don't think that they have the ability to do. And it's just really great that I can be a leader for some of the other young children out there.
You've managed to seem, you seem to manage to make science such a fun thing for yourself, but for a lot of kids, it's hard for them to grasp science as being a fun subject. What would you say to them to really immerse themselves in it and enjoy it as much as possible?
I would say that science isn't just something you learn and then you have a test on it. It's also applying it to everyday life. I love learning science and writing tests on it, but also it's what you take the theory and you apply it. It's not just everything about school, but taking what you learn and seeing what you can do with it to solve problems every day.
Kiara, thank you so much for joining us on the South African of the Year Daily Show. It really has been great to find out about this incredible project that you've managed to create, and it's extremely deserving from the sounds of it. It's a great problem solver of an issue that we're having, and it's wonderful that a South African has been recognized for those achievements. You're the overall prize winner for the 2016 Google Science Fair, and congratulations once again, and you really do deserve it.
Thank you very much.
Something that we hope will inspire many young scholars out there. Kiara Nirghin, and a remarkable young lady that has created this project called Combating Drought with a low-cost, biodegradable, super absorbent polymer made out of orange peels and avocado skins. A mouthful, but one that her mind can certainly handle. If you want to vote for her for the Youth Leader of the Year at the South African of the Year Awards 2016, all you need to do is SMS youth2, I beg your pardon, to 43043, or email youth2, that's a word youth and the number 2, to SATY2016@ann7.com. Otherwise, you can go to our website www.ann7.com to get more details and hopefully win yourself some double tickets and a VIP experience at the SATY Awards on that great date and that great event, which you will certainly enjoy. But for now, for myself, Maps Mapunyani, that's all we have time for. Good night.